Coming up on the show today, I love Mac, I hate Windows, I hate Mac, I love Windows.
This is Double Tap, where blind people talk tech. Here's Stephen Scott and Shaun Preece.
Yeah, the saga goes on. How you doing, Shaun Preece?
Let's just stop, right? I'm utterly sick of this. Just choose one and stick with it, or just switch between the two and stop moaning.
I know. All I do is moan and whinge and complain. No, that's not right. Hang on, who got control of that? No, listen. I think my hand took on a life of its own. My tremor actually came to life there, reached over and said, yes, Stephen, you're right. You're a whinger, a whiner, and a moaner. So I spent the weekend, as I was telling you yesterday, I spent the weekend and the day before, and most of the week before. Resetting my PC, only to discover that it's terrible.
Why? What? Okay. I don't even know where to begin. Give us details. What's the problem?
So when you hit the Windows key and it brings up the start menu, and I should say I'm using JAWS, okay? I'm using a 5-year-old Lenovo laptop here. Mm-hmm. It's not the newest machine in the world, but it's not the oldest machine in the world either. I mean, I've used older machines. One. Yeah. Hit the start button, type in, say, Outlook, and I wait for it to say Outlook Classic, because you've got to be careful with that old Windows Start menu. It can just throw you all over the place. So I like to know what I'm saying enter to or hitting enter onto. 8 seconds I counted it before it would actually speak the words Outlook Classic. And then I hit enter, and then another 12 seconds before anything actually happened. And in between that, if you Alt-Tab between windows or you go between different applications, the screen reader just stops. It hasn't crashed yet, so hang on. Plus point. Hasn't crashed yet, but it does go quiet, and you just get nothing. It just goes silent, and I'm like, what is going on? So, Shaun Preece, what is going on?
Oh, thanks. The easy question. What's going on? Well, as we discussed before, Windows does have a tendency, if you haven't used it for a long time, or, as in your case, you do a refresh or a reset, however you want to phrase it, it does seem to take a while to sort itself out, using a technical term. Either it's indexing files, or it's checking for updates, or OneDrive is syncing. Either way, it does seem to take a while. And when I say a while, I'm not talking about an hour. I'm talking a couple of days sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, I said that to you the other day because you had that issue with your friend the other week.
I did.
And I said, I'll just give it a couple of days. It'll probably sort its life out. I wish I could take the same advice, but I'm so impatient.
Well, no, you're not impatient. That's absolutely ridiculous that I'm here saying, yeah, give it a couple of days.
I know.
What am I talking about? But it does seem to be the case. There may be some way to shorten that. Maybe if you turn off file indexing somehow. Honestly, who's going to do that, right? I think this is a problem that have come in the recent Windows updates. Now, the start menu itself has been redesigned. In the next update to Windows, 25H1 maybe, I can't remember. They've redesigned the start menu. Now, is that going to make a difference to screen reader users? Probably not. But apparently, it's more responsive. It's better designed. The recommendations have gone, or at least you can turn them off. I don't know. I haven't tried it out yet, but I'm hoping the start menu will improve. Because I'll be honest with you, that start menu, I was teaching Sarah how to use a laptop because she hasn't picked one up in a long time just the other day. And I'm saying, press the Windows key and the start menu will come up. And it's not saying anything. Yeah, sometimes it doesn't. And you find yourself, actually, when I'm explaining things to someone, it doesn't make a lot of sense. But the start menu isn't always consistent. You can press the Windows key and sometimes it'll say straight away, search, type in for your app or your document or whatever. A lot of the time, though, it won't say anything. I'm just assuming it's there and I'm typing away because I'm used to it.
Yeah, that's right.
But when you're explaining something, actually, it's not very consistent. So it's Windows. But then again, macOS has issues as well. You just learn to live with it and stop moaning and whinging and whining on. Stephen Scott, thank you.
Yes, all right, I'll give you that. Well, I am very good at whining and whinging and moaning, by the way.
8 seconds.
Brilliant.
I mean, what are you going to do in 8 seconds? What's the matter with you?
It's funny. I saw a thing the other day. I was on one of the Facebook videos, and it was like someone waiting for a computer to get loaded up in like 1994. and how, they could pretty much go away, make a full 3-course meal, come back, and it was kind of just about loaded up by that point. Nowadays, if it doesn't instantly respond that this phone is absolute garbage, straight in the bin, or this computer's nonsense, it was actually getting me to look. It was mad. I was actually looking at buying a new computer. Yes. I'm thinking, I'm going to buy a new machine because clearly this machine isn't up to the task. Now, I will say this morning has been a little bit better. That has gone down in time. So what you're saying is right. Whatever is going on in the machine. And the thing is, I know I always go on about Intel as being the, fried egg maker that is, the processor.
Yeah, which was fair. I think they have improved and certainly, in the last generation.
Well, you said this before. Now, it still doesn't give me the confidence to buy Intel, if I'm honest. I see a lot of these I've been looking into different processors, and of course, now you have all the latest AMD processors out there. A lot of people saying go AMD, and this is general reviews, not specific to accessibility. And I remember there was a time, and I'm thinking maybe 10 years ago it might have been, when people who used JAWS, the screen reader, would say, don't buy AMD, go for Intel. Because for whatever reason, Intel seemed to behave better with JAWS, and I remember that being a rumor. I don't know if this was all conspiracy theory and nonsense, or whether there was actually something to it. But what I'm finding is that, using that little box PC I've got, the little Geekom mini PC, that thing is fast. It is responsive, and it's running a very low power AMD processor. I think it is anyway. It's an AMD Ryzen 3. It's not this is on my little cheap one I've got, and it was, comparing it to the Lenovo laptop, which you would think is going to be running a decent Intel Core i5 processor, probably an 11th gen, I think it is.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that sounds about right. Maybe, I think an 11th gen. It's got 16 gig of RAM in there. It's not a slouch. It's got power in it. But it just seems to... And the fans are constantly spinning. The machine feels like it's going to burst into flames at any given second. And the battery's terrible. Fine. So I just get rid of it, basically. It's utter rubbish.
You're not buying a new one. All right?
I don't like it anymore. I don't want it.
No, you're not.
Sean,
make do.
Would you like to buy a Lenovo laptop? One careful previous owner.
No, absolutely not. They are great, though. I've got the same one. I don't have a problem. It's funny, I'm being dismissive of you here, but on my Surface Pro 8, for some reason, after I type in my PIN to log in, or it sees my face and logs me in, it takes a minute before I can do anything. It's doing something, but I can't do anything. I can't, before even NVDA starts up, there's a minute there. And in that minute, I am shouting. I am furious at it, why it's taking so long. And every other, all the other computers are absolutely fine. I have absolutely no idea what that is. I've been through if you go to settings, Windows I, bring up your settings and search for startup, you get a list of everything, every program that's starting up. And it tells you high impact, medium impact, low impact. It tells you the impact it has on the processor. So you can turn those off. So OneDrive, for example, takes a high impact, could take a long time before you can actually do anything because it's loading up. So you can turn that off. I've virtually turned everything off and it still waits a minute. You know what? Every time I reinstall Windows or refresh Windows, I get a different experience. It's so strange.
This might sound wrong. I'm asking this because I genuinely don't know. Could this be a driver issue? Are there potentially driver issues? Because I know, for example, a lot of JAWS users have said in the past, there was a period where, I think, was it Realtek drivers, the audio drivers that come often with the pre-built-in drivers that control the audio hardware in the device, not anything you would connect to it, but just the actual audio drivers that run the speakers and the microphone in this case, laptop itself. There were a lot of JAWS users having real issues with that. Could it be that? Could it be just needs to be? And how do I update them? How do I know it's got the right drivers?
Well, it used to be that was the thing. You used to have to be on top of your drivers, and driver management was a real issue back in the day. But you know what? I haven't even thought about drivers in the longest time because Windows has become pretty good at firstly having an always-on internet connection, identifying the hardware you've got and downloading the drivers itself, or coming loaded onto Windows, if you will, and using a generic, graphics display or audio driver, like you say. A Realtek has become pretty much the default audio driver anyway. But yeah, it could be, and you will know, like on the Lenovo, there is a Lenovo Vantage app that will download specifically for that model any drivers that it thinks it needs. But again, if you go to Windows Update in your settings and go to Advanced and then Optional Updates, you will see in there, you will get BIOS updates, you will get driver updates for audio and graphics and things like that as well. So, yeah, absolutely, it could be a driver issue. But you know what? I don't even think about drivers anymore. I've become lazy.
No, I get it. I mean, look, the thing that kind of leads me to this thinking is, what I tend to do, there was a period, and maybe it's still in there somewhere, in fact, I'm almost certain it is, I just haven't found it, where you could turn like various Windows features on and off. There was because you had Windows programs, you could add or remove programs.
Windows features.
Yeah. And then there was Windows features, that's right. So you could go in, you could turn off, I can't even remember what you could turn off in there, but probably things that were, I think maybe Outlook Express and things like that back in the day, you could turn off, things like features specific. There's probably an equivalent to that now. And I just wanted to dig in really to see what was working. Because, I mean, things like when you go into accessibility, you can reduce motion. And that does speed things up a bit because it's not animating windows and doing all that kind of stuff that I don't want it to do. Not from a visual perspective, but just it takes load off the system if it's not having to do that. So instead of having to draw a window popping up or sliding up, it can just appear. That's much better for me. But, I was then looking at all the programs list, and in there was a driver or some kind of application package for an LG monitor. And I'm thinking, I've not got an LG monitor and never connected an LG monitor to this. So why is that in there? So
if I go through my list of apps, there's always Dolby audio something, and it's always there. And I don't want that. I'm going to get rid of it. Get rid of it. It comes back. So it's like, okay, I'll live with it. Yeah, absolutely. You know what? You need to spend like a good couple of days trying to dive into this. I can't even remember last time looking in Windows features. As you say, there must be an equivalent there under the program section in settings, but I haven't looked in a long time.
And, whoever designed the Xbox game bar should be subjected to a life of torture, because honestly, I hate this thing with a passion. I have no idea what it is. It seems to come to life in the most weirdest ways. And basically what it means is whenever you hit the letter G on your keyboard, which, if you're typing an email to someone, you might use the letter G.
I believe it's Alt-G, Stephen Scott.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
It's not just G.
I guarantee you hit the letter G.
I'm going to press G right now.
Well, it might not be turned on in your case. No, but you have to turn
on by
this
default.
Well, I don't know if it is or not, because it wasn't at the start, and then all of a sudden it was on. So I've clearly activated it somehow.
Oh, well, user error.
That's the thing. I've also hit a command and it's brought this thing up. But it meant that every time I hit the letter G, so if I was typing the word thorough, and not a word you would ever associate with me normally, but I was talking about someone else, and I was typing the word thorough, and I get to G, and up pops this window and takes over. And it was, I have no idea what it was. It was something to do with screen reading or not screen recording.
Suggestion there of clean your keyboard, just in case you got a slightly sticky Alt key or something.
Absolutely nothing to do with the Alt key. I promise you. Hit the G key when whatever this is active. And what I did was I went into Xbox Game Bar.
Yes.
The settings for Game Bar. Turned it on because it was off. On and off, and the problem went away.
There you go. Toggle. Yeah, that works for everything. iPhone, Android.
It's the new
phone,
way. It's the new way with Windows, right? Turn it off and then on again, even if it's off.
That's been the IT answer for decades.
No, but even if it's on or off, just do the opposite and then the opposite again, and then it'll all work again. So bizarre. So yeah, that. Oh my god, honestly, that just drove me insane.
You feel better?
I don't know. I mean, I think the thing with Mac is you're spoiled because you don't ever think about these things. You never worry about drivers.
What
you
are you
never
talking about? How often are you saying, not responding, not responding? Yeah, I just can't use Safari. It's awful.
No, I will get to that. But what I'm saying is when you think about drivers and all that stuff, you don't think about it. You plug in a device, it just works. It's there. But you're absolutely right. There are a lot of other issues, which is kind of taking me away from the Mac. I feel very comfortable around a Mac. I do. I feel very comfortable. I've used it a long time. I feel comfortable with VoiceOver. The challenge is the interaction model, as I've talked about before, is quite limiting in terms of, for example, web browsing now. That's if you're not getting Safari, not responding. If when it actually does decide to respond, good luck actually getting into the web window to actually do anything. And then as soon as you go to another window, it pops you back out into the toolbar again. I've said this all before, but it just...
Yes,
that's what pushed me away from the Mac in the end, because I think the latest edition of macOS, Tahoe is not great, if I'm honest. From the screen reader point of view, I think there's been changes made that, either VoiceOver still to catch up. I'm sure it will, but it just feels like we've slipped back a bit on the Mac side.
Isn't that a bit Windows 80 though? I mean, Windows 8 came out and it's like, well, the screen readers need to catch up. Do they? Do they really?
I don't know.
Really a valid excuse? And I would say,
or is it the reason? I mean, I don't know. It could just be the OS and the way it's done, or as Tim Cook might tell me, well, you're typing it wrong or whatever.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but screen reader companies have access, to the beta of every Windows OS anyway. So I just find that really irritating. That we'll catch up eventually. Well, it's officially launched now, and I want to use it anyway. Do you think, because I'm hearing this more and more about VoiceOver on macOS, do you think there's going to become a point where there is enough pushback that it's going to be, what, we're going to start from scratch? I mean, it's been implanted. I mean, it's been so long now. And I'm hearing more and more people saying it's just too many bugs in it.
I've heard more people who've decided to buy a MacBook recently who are blind, who are saying, you know what, I tried it.
But I did the same thing, and that's because I went to Mac from the iPhone because I was so blown away with the iPhone VoiceOver accessibility. I thought this is the future, right? And of course, it's completely different on a desktop or even a laptop. On a desktop platform, of course it's going to be different. It's far more complicated. But so I understand that, and people kind of think I want to use it like I use it on the iPhone, and of course, touchpad commander and things like that. But I don't know. I'm hearing more and more people saying I'm struggling to use it more and more.
Well, strangely for me, and I never thought I'd see the day I'd say this, but I've actually moved away from the MacBook and actually moved closer towards the iPad. Because if you are wanting that Mac, if you want that Apple VoiceOver experience on the iPhone on a computer, then you want to go iPad, actually, not MacBook, don't you? Because that is the same layout, it's the same format, it's the same style and design. And of course, you can use.
And it's powerful enough.
More so now than ever. More so now than ever.
Do you know what it is, though? Just the other day, someone wanted a file from me. And it was in my Files app. I went, okay, I'll go there and I'll go to Share and I'll just, how can I get it to them? And you've got to think how you do it. And it's really off-putting. And maybe, in my list of possible apps I could use to export it or send it to this guy, Files itself wasn't in there, or copy a link wasn't in there. I could email it, or I could do this, I could do that. And just that inconsistency in itself, I always wanted to just send a link, but that wasn't there for some reason. And it's probably because I went it through the wrong app, or I went the wrong way, or I should have done Share in a different part of the app. That's not good. It's not a desktop replacement now.
I think they have improved the Files app because it's more like what Finder is on the Mac. So they've got that.
True.
They're starting to develop it more in that way.
And USB-C did help as well, being able to put external hard drives in there and those show up.
Well, that's right. I mean, you can add more hardware in there now. You can do a lot more with it. You can even use a webcam if you wanted. You can hook up a dock and even use it as a, a computer. That? No, I've never tried it. No, never tried it. I just bought myself an iPad Pro actually, because, and I'll tell you why. It's a weird reason, perhaps. But what I'm trying to design for myself is an accessible content creation tool when we're out and about. So we want to go out and about and do the show, but we want to do this ourselves if we can, right? I mean, it's very expensive to have crews and people with us, and we can't always afford to do that. But it would still be nice to go and attend events. And so, with our upcoming trip to Site Village, London, I thought, okay, what we should do is we should try some of Apple's proprietary hardware and software and see if we can bring this together. So I'll maybe do a separate show on this at some point because it's very long and potentially,
Boring.
Yeah. So
I think it's interesting.
Well, some might like
do this as an extra or something.
But what I'm kind of trying to do here is use every accessibility tool at my disposal and every accessible video recording app and audio solution as well to try and create a video and audio recording solution on the move. And I think, and this is all to the,
theory.
It's all in theory, yeah. But it's also all the fault of Damasi Thomas from Unmute, from Technically Working.
Yes.
especially him today, because he cost me a lot of money this morning when he told me that the Zoom PodTrak P4 Next that we were talking about, the very accessible now Zoom recorder, which you can have 4 microphones plugged into and 4 headphones, it's now available. I didn't know that. I thought it was out on the 1st of December, but it turns out they've launched it either earlier or I've misread something. So either or, it's out. So yeah, that was my bag this morning. Thank you, Damasi. I've now got that. So I want to put that together. So I'm going to do a kit test this week and we'll see how it goes. And I'm hoping to build a very accessible and even, with the video included, fully accessible option here. Because I'm thinking of all the tools I've got, right? I've got VoiceOver on the iPhone. We're using iPhones to do the video. That can help.
iPhones for cameras are great.
iPhones for cameras are great. Of course, probably best camera you can get, let's be honest, beyond a DSLR camera. It's got all the accessibility in there, so framing somebody up, nice and simple. I know how many people are in the shot, as should be. So if I'm looking for one person in a particular shot, I know that's them. I know if it's 2 heads in the shot, it's you and I.
Yes.
So I can set the cameras up. You can control the whole thing and record everything using the iPad Pro with Final Cut. There's an app in there called Final Cut Camera, which you can use on each phone. And then Final Cut Pro is actually on the iPad. Literally one record button. You connect your Zoom recorder, which is all accessible, into the iPad. Microphones scattered around the desk, ideally in front of the guests. And hit record on the iPad and away you go. And now you have a fully accessible recording solution for video and audio, if it works. But we're going to put it to the test next week. So basically, if you never hear from us again from Site Village and we never talk about the event, then it didn't work out. But I think it might.
Yeah. Damasi and Mickey B know their stuff. I've got no...
No, it's nothing to do with that. He just told me it was available, and now I've had to buy it. So thank you, Damasi.
Yeah, well done.
He made me spend
buying
money.
Another Windows laptop anyway, so thank you, Damasi.
Still looking at that, yeah. Snapdragon, Intel, AMD.
AMD Halo Strix. That's the future, I'm telling you. Very expensive.
I don't doubt it. Now, listen, actually, I mentioned Site Village London. Some of you are already getting in touch to say, especially on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. I know we don't comment on your comments very often, but hi, YouTubers.
Hi.
So some of you getting in touch to say, I'll be listening out for you at Site Village London. Well, you don't have to listen out too far, because if you can find your way to the Sight and Sound Technology stand, that is where we will be. We're going to be parked there. Literally for the period of the day. I think we're going to be there on the one day, just on the Monday, or the Tuesday, I should say, the Tuesday of the event. So we'll be there the whole day. Come along and do say hello. We may be recording at the time, and if we are, of course, just give us a couple of minutes. We'll wrap up the recording and come say hello to you. But we would love to see you if you're there. So if you're at Site Village in London on the 18th and 19th, you will see us there on the 18th at the Sight and Sound Technology stand. So check us out there.
Everyone can hear your voice from a mile away, Stephen Scott. It's very distinctive.
Thank you.
So they will find us, I am sure.
It's going to be great. It's going to be a really, really fun experience.
I love it. And by the way, please, do come and say hello, because I love it when we meet our listeners. It's everyone's really nice. So yeah, please come and say hello. Please.
Please.
Somebody.
Now, I'm going to enter into a topic which I think is a little bit thorny, but I'm going to mention it because I'm looking for people to get in touch. We're going to get a little bit of comment on this, I think, on the emails today, but I want to put it out there because I'm reading a lot of interesting thoughts about the Ally Solos glasses from Envision. Some of them, not so positive.
Yes.
Now, I always like to caveat that with, when people get something they don't like, or they don't like a particular product or service, they're probably more likely to complain about it than they are to say this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. Although I'm not so sure in our community if that's entirely true, because people like to share that it's good as well. So I don't know where we stand on this one. So it's very hard to take just anecdotes as one or two come in, as people
and very
comment.
early days.
And very early days. And I think sometimes it's about getting used to the hardware and the differences between it. And of course, there's immediate comparisons with the Meta Ray-Bans. So I'm just intrigued to know what people are thinking out there. What are your experiences? Have you got them? Are you trying them? What do you think of them? Let us know. I'd love to hear your thoughts, because, the internet, certainly the corner of the internet that I frequent most is ablaze with people talking about these glasses, good and bad.
Yeah. I don't know what to say about this yet because, as I said, far too early. But,
well, one thing you did say, and I think it's a fair point you've said all along, is, before buying them, Karthik Karnan was very clear when he came on the show, and we were clear afterwards, I think, that, if you want to know what the glasses are going to be like, download the Ally app.
Yeah. And again, my point about AI, is AI on its own enough? And I'm still yet to be convinced by that. As I said, the Meta Ray-Bans, the AI, I don't really rely on at all because I just can't trust it.
It's so funny you say that. It's so funny because I am using it more and more these days, especially for things like, the other day it kind of caught me by surprise. I was trying to cook cinnamon buns in my air fryer, as I wish to do. Yes.
Okay. Why do I find that so hilarious?
What's funny about that?
Well, you cooking for one thing.
Well, you see cooking. I mean, it's putting a frozen solid object inside an air fryer
in a hot
with the
thing.
hope of it turning into something less
edible,
less frozen. I got the packet and I asked the Meta Ray-Bans, okay, how do I cook this? Now, bearing in mind I didn't specify how I was cooking it, it started reading out the cooking instructions for an oven. And I thought, okay, fine. So I was just about to interrupt it to say, actually, could you tell me? And immediately it said, or you could alternatively cook in an air fryer. Here are the details. And I thought, that's wonderful. Now, you might say, well, look, that's what basic text summarization does. It takes the question, it looks at the text, it gives you the response. Fine. But that's what I'm looking for. That's what I want. What's the expiry date on this milk? It got it right. I mean, I had to try a couple of times. It's not very good at...
That's the point, though. It got it right. Fantastic. But you know what? It will also tell you with supreme confidence another wrong answer, and you just don't know.
Didn't do it for me. It actually said it did not make it up. It said to me, I cannot see an expiration date on this product. So I just tried again and again, and I thought, that's good. I'd rather you did that. I'd rather it tells me it can't see it because maybe it couldn't see it.
Hey, we've had the debate about AI. Too many wrong answers for me. It is useful, don't get me wrong. I had
a letter the other day. I wanted to confirm an appointment for the hospital. And I know you're not really supposed to do it for this, but I've kind of just decided, you know what, sod it, because I need to know the information.
I need to know, yeah.
So, it's like, okay, can you tell me when this appointment is? And it told me and it confirmed what I already thought, but I wanted it confirmed. Mm-hmm. I mean, it sounds simple, and it is simple what I'm asking it to do, but that's the stuff I need it to do. I was at a bus stop the other day, and I asked it, what bus stops here? And it told me what it could see based on the bus stop. And it gave me the information I was looking for, which helped me along with my, am I in the right place for this bus, which was great.
We're talking about AI, but here we're also talking about the Meta Ray-Bans.
Well, that's what I'm talking about, yeah, because that's
You're
all I've used.
talking about the Meta Ray-Bans. When we relate this back to other smart glasses, specifically for the blind, I want something more than that. And I'm talking not just about the Ally Solos, but also about the Echo Visions, which aren't quite available yet.
Well, I did see an article go up online about this. I think there's a bit of a delay there as well. We're going to maybe speak to those guys and see what's going on, see if we can get them on.
We should, yeah.
See what's happening. Because they're really not lovely people, the Giga people.
But of course, everyone is. But the point is, are these any different to general AI anyway? That's the whole point here, because otherwise I'll just stick with my Meta Ray-Bans and not pay a subscription. I'm expecting something that gives me something extra.
Can I just put it out there? Can I just say this? And I know I'll get absolute hate for it, and I'll probably never get spoken to by most people in the assistive tech space again. But I just have to be honest about this. I look at the Meta Ray-Bans, I look at the price point, I look at the fact there's no subscription, I look at the fact that they're continually developing the AI. And I think to myself, you've got Be My Eyes integration in there. There is a way for you to use Ira. It's not the cleanest and nicest way, but you can do it. It's giving me a lot of the things I need. And it's in a package which is, there's lots of choice in terms of style. It's a fashionable thing. It's, I called it the iPhone moment with the Meta Ray-Bans. And I still stand by that. I think it is the iPhone moment in the sense that we have a product here which is capable of a lot. And thinking back to the early days of the iPhone, how incapable that device was, but we all saw potential. And we saw potential. We didn't really understand the potential, though, because we didn't know this kind of product and how it was going to roll out. Now we've seen the rollout of, say, an iPhone or that kind of product, and we know how the roadmap works. We're a little bit impatient because the current range is not moving fast enough. The AI is not going quick enough to improve, or the services aren't coming online enough. But, I'm using these Gen 2 Ray-Bans, and can I be honest, the glasses, I don't think about battery anymore, which is a wonderful thing. Don't think about it much. The battery is amazing on it. I think they've maybe undersold that battery a little bit. In terms of the AI, I'm definitely feeling there is an improvement. I have noticed only one thing, which I thought was a problem, and I think I've realized what's going on, and it's a battery saver feature, I imagine, where, the glasses are on my head most of the day, and then my phone will suddenly start speaking out of its own speaker, not through the glasses. I think, why is that? Why is it talking over there? But I guess it must be going to sleep. Something's going to sleep, and then but as soon as I bring the phone back up and I unlock it, it goes back onto the glasses again. So, that's working. And I've never lost a call. I've been able to make all my calls, do my WhatsApp calls, not had those dropped or disappearing messages into the ether or disappearing voices on my phone, which is in my pocket. That's not happening. So the improvements are being made here. And when you look at the alternatives that are out there, look, I'm all for development. Of course, the specialist option in theory should be better. But at the price point with subscriptions, can you compete with Meta in this space? Is that a smart move?
Yes, you can compete if you can offer something different, specifically designed for us to help with something that we need help with. Like the detailed description option, which came out in the Meta AI app, which gives you more information relevant to us, the position of doors or whatever it was. I mean, if you do something like that and enough of them, then maybe people will think that is worth the subscription for me.
I found a bin the other day. I said, is there a bin around here? And it said, there's a bin at your 2:00. And I was like, wow, okay.
Now that's good, yeah.
And I was like, that's amazing. And I thought, no, there isn't. This is going to be rubbish. It keeps getting left and right mixed up, doesn't it? So, okay, nope, there it was at my 2:00. I was really impressed by that.
There's 50-50 when it comes to that. Is there a thing?
And of course it depends on can you see it? Can it see it? Of course it's still dependent on what you're facing.
Left and right, it gets wrong all the time. But look, it was interesting you said, and I don't want to repeat myself, but it's interesting you said about Be My Eyes, and you can use Ira with the Ray-Bans, but you got to do it in a strange, clunky manner.
For now, at least, yeah.
For now, yeah. But the point being, again, that's nothing to do with AI. And those are really cool services. And again, that's what I love the Meta Ray-Bans for, that human connection with the video calls is fantastic and worth it, even if they just did that, which here in the UK was the only option for a long time.
But that's the integration part that a lot of people were looking for. Now, of course, I think if you were buying the Ally Solos on the hope you were going to get Ira and Be My Eyes, then I think you were on a fool's errand, because it wasn't clear. It was clear, I should say, that they weren't going to be on at launch. They did say they were going to be looking at potentially bringing in those integrations down the line, but you weren't going to get it right away. But it all felt a bit woolly. So, I don't know. We'll have to see what actually happens down the line with that. So if you were buying them to use Be My Eyes or Ira with, then you're not going to get that. Again, I go back to the Metas, and then I say, well, next year, we're going to get Seeing AI on there. Humanware are developing AI navigation. Now, what that looks like, what it means, I don't know. But the thing is that it seems more attractive to developers to develop on that platform rather than a specialist device. I just, we've often looked at, in the assistive tech world, if you go back 50 years, you're always looking at the specialist option being the supreme over the mainstream choice. The iPhone nudged that in a direction that said, maybe the mainstream could get this right. Not perfect, but getting closer. I'm not saying the Meta Ray-Bans are way off the scale and suddenly we're on the other end of that scale entirely. But I think what has happened here is we've seen that the big companies can produce a platform and we can benefit from that platform, which is a much better way of doing it from a cost point of view, rather than depending on a specific device, which we hope will have all the features we want. And now we know there's two of them. So there's a Giga, there's Envision, there was Celeste for a while. Some came, some went. I don't want to be negative about it, but I have to look at the market and say, the market will decide ultimately.
We got to live in reality, right? There's always a price consideration as well.
Of course there is.
I mean, subscriptions, we're getting more and more subscriptions. People do look, what does this give me? So, look, I haven't used one. I haven't used the Ally Solo, so honestly, I don't know. The only thing I have experience of is using the Ally AI app, which again, try it out before you get these glasses. Try it out, because that's exactly the same experience that you're going to have. It uses this, AI on the glasses. So try it out. And if you like what's happening, then they may be for you.
I mean, look, subscriptions now are extending to eloquence. So, things are moving on. Actually, speaking of which, I have reached out to Code Factory and they have agreed to come on and talk to us about that. So we are going to be talking to Code Factory on that very topic about what the reasons are for bringing in a subscription. So looking forward to hearing their take on it. Also, you might have heard the news that Glenn Gordon has left Vespero. Now, Glenn, I have to say, is not a name I was particularly aware of. I think a lot of these names you hear, and we tend to hear them out of the US because, of course, Vespero, US company, and for a long time that's where the software was developed and still is. But a lot of the names attached to these companies, here in the UK at least, certainly from my experience, were names I would never have known or heard. They weren't household names to me.
No, not at all.
We know the products, we know that, but I don't know if we would say we went as far as knowing specifically who was involved. But Glenn had a big part to play. And, I'm learning about all of this. Well, Glenn is going to be sitting down with us for a conversation about his reasons for leaving, but also to talk about where this is all going. Because AI is becoming it's such a throwaway thing now. You say AI and it could be anything, right? It means everything. It could be, your car tells you, the temperature of itself or whatever. I don't know. But, it's in everything. Yeah. Vacuum cleaners get AI in it, all this stuff. But when it comes to screen reading, there is a potential here, good or bad, for computing to get to the stage where we skip the screen reader entirely. And actually we just go to having a voice model where we just talk to our computer. I think of InnoSearch as an example of that, how I can go shopping on the phone. And I don't need to go to a website and manage and deal with the challenges of a website. That's one tangible example of where we're moving away. And you can do it as well with co-browse on their website. You can use co-browse on InnoSearch to actually go and search out products and even buy them. So
it's so
it
strange.
Moves away. It could potentially move away from the need for a screen reader. Again, is that good or bad? Well, we're going to talk to Glenn about that.
I hope it never happens. Because you know what, I feel, that transitional period from the standard Nokia phones that we all used to use back in the day to touchscreens and that sort of feeling of oncoming dread that, hang on, this is all changing and where are we being left? With all this talk, Microsoft came out recently and said, the keyboard and the mouse is going to be a thing of history in the future. It's all going to be AI.
What about my beautiful keyboards?
Driven. Yeah, well, forget them. They'll belong in a museum. But I can feel people that maybe, with hearing difficulties or speech difficulties right now, feeling that same, well, hang on. Apparently now, the conversation model, the large language model is the future of technology. I can see people being, I want another way. You need those various options for interfacing with tech to make it accessible.
Great if you can talk, right? Great if you can hear the response.
Yeah. Anyway, yes. But Glenn is a very interesting guy.
Yeah, he is. We're going to talk to him on the show very soon. And also, just another thing while I remember, because this is the way the show works now. I just remember these things as I go along. But there was something I wanted to mention about Copilot. You just reminded me. Notepad. Who knew? Notepad's great, isn't it? Notepad's a great little app. I strongly encourage people to get it. In fact, if you refresh your computer, as I did recently, I might have mentioned it, you have to go and download it again for some reason. It wasn't on my computer. Couldn't find it anywhere.
That's so strange.
The documents I had would open up, but I couldn't read them. And there was a button that said, you have to install the new version of Notepad. So, okay, off I went.
Hang on, what were they opening in?
That's what I couldn't understand. It was like, how are you opening them? But there's nothing to I couldn't find Notepad anywhere.
WordPad has gone, right?
WordPad's gone, yeah.
Although that was on Sarah's laptop the other day, which was a fresh install. So that didn't make any sense. Anyway, yeah, sorry, carry on.
So off I went to the App Store, downloaded Notepad, thinking, what am I getting now? A couple of quirks to that new Notepad, right? That whole tab system. So you open up a new document, it just opens up in a new tab. And then when you close the window down, if you alt F4 out of the window, it actually doesn't close the program. Well, it closes the program,
there.
but all the notes just remain as they are. So when you open it up, instead of going to a new note, it just takes you right back to the previous note you were working on. Now, thankfully, as you told me, you can change that in settings, and I have. You can also change it so that instead of opening up in tabs, the new windows will open up in new windows. Although that
like
doesn't
the
seem
old
to
notepad.
be that doesn't seem to be working though. I can't. Every time I say that,
Toggle it on and off again.
That's the answer. Okay, brilliant. I'll just turn it off and on again, and then on and then off.
There's a few options there when it comes to the handling of tabs and documents. The problem is that I didn't even notice that. Didn't even think about it. I open up Notepad, type something, close it down, forget about it.
Yeah.
When you open it up again and actually go through the tabs, I had like 150 tabs in there. And you go, okay, I better close them down. What is it? Control W, to close down the tab. And sometimes the dialog box, because that file is no longer in the location it thought it was, there's a dialog box that pops up saying, I can't find this file, something. It doesn't jump to that. Focus doesn't jump to it. I'm not sure about when it comes to accessibility. You got Alt-Tab back out and then Alt-Tab back in to be able to do it. If you're doing that 150 times, it becomes a problem. So definitely look in the open Notepad up and then find the settings button and go in there and you can change all that behavior. It's definitely worth doing.
But the one thing I did find in there that I thought was kind of interesting, and I thought, oh, really? Copilot was in there. Actually,
of course it was.
The Notepad app, and I'm thinking, right, okay, so, I'll give it a try. And I've signed in and I've got my account set up and I'm paying for Microsoft Office. I don't know if that gives me access to Copilot or whether it's just there anyway. I don't know. I'm paying for it, so never experienced it without it.
That's a good point. Yeah, I don't know. I am as well.
But anyway, I went into it and it came up with a text field which said, type in whatever you want, you want it to do or write, so maybe you want it to write an introduction or, draft an email or whatever it was. So I wrote something in like, tell me what it was like to be blind in 2025 versus 1995. And it wrote this whole diatribe. Now, interestingly, I couldn't access the text that came out from that, but it did have a replace text button. So I hit that and it dropped all the text into the Notepad. Or maybe it was already there, I don't know. But it seems to be like a pop-up window, I think, that's going on there. And the replace text
Copilot,
button. Yeah. So the Copilot's bringing up a pop-up, I guess. And, at that point, I was able to hit the replace text, which, of course, is fine because I had no text in there anyway. I wasn't changing any text. I was just creating text. But what I did really like was that the text immediately appears inside that Notepad window, ready to be edited or, manipulated, whatever you would want to do with it. I really like that because I do like Notepad. I like working in Notepad. I use it all the time. I don't bother with Microsoft Word. I always use Notepad for my text documents. But having the ability to do stuff in there just felt really nice. So, it's annoying that I can't check the text before I hit replace because if I was wanting to replace something that was already there, I'd like to know what it was first. I need to investigate that a bit more.
Yeah, maybe the screen reader review modes will be able to
possibly
get to it somehow. Yeah. But I had the same experience in Word. I tried it in Word because I noticed that, use Copilot. Alt-I believe it was.
Okay.
So I pressed Alt-I and I said, rewrite this in a professional manner or something like that, a casual manner. And okay. And then I couldn't, firstly, it couldn't find the text that it had, supplied. And secondly, I couldn't get rid of that Copilot window and I couldn't jump out of it without pressing the touchpad, cheating basically and clicking the touchpad so the mouse would click me back to the main window. I've done that a few times. I just
randomly click on the touchpad just to see if it'll get me somewhere onto somewhere. I have no idea where the cursor is, but...
Yeah, it's usually just in the center because I'm not moving it, right? Yeah, so you assume it's going to take me back. But it's interesting that you tried. I tried that a while ago, but it's interesting you found a replace text button, at least in Notepad, that basically did what you wanted it to do. And did the Copilot window disappear then and the focus jumped back into... That's cool. Yeah, I like that.
It was almost ideal.
That's a great use of AI. That's where AI is fantastic. It does a really good job.
I like it. It's funny. I've not used... Well, I haven't used GPT as much on the PC. I tend to use Copilot, especially when I'm in Windows and I'm stuck on something like this. Especially last week, I found myself spending a lot of time chatting with Copilot and just saying, okay, look, I'm trying to do this. I tried share screen as well, which was kind of cool when I was stuck in these Gmail issues.
Right, let me stop you there. It's kind of cool, but utterly useless.
Well...
Again, I've used it and I'll take that back. Not utterly useless, because it pointed me in the right direction.
Well, let me just
but that's
be clear.
purely by accident.
Let me clarify for people who don't know entirely how this works, if you've never used it. So with share screen, you're literally sharing the screen with the AI. So it's like having a pair of eyes on the screen. Now, granted, a pair of eyes that can only do really what you ask it, and also can only see, it can't touch anything. It's not like it has control, which is maybe a good thing. That's, I guess, where you're getting into what's called agentic mode, right, where it can take actions. That's
Correct.
kind of what Co-Browser is doing on InnoSearch. It's clicking the buttons for you.
Yes.
That's not what Copilot is doing. It's just seeing it. But it was able to, like, if you were thinking, is there a download button on this website? I can't find one. Is there something that lets me download? It will be able to tell you if it can see it on the screen. Now, of course, you might get mixed results with that, but you know what? It might help you find what you're looking for. At the very least, tell you, yes, there is. So at least you know you're not in the wrong place, or the Windows, it's definitely got what you think it has on it.
Well, it's useful in places. If you want, hey, there's a web page I'm on here. Give me a summary of the headlines or whatever. Absolutely fantastic. Great. I was using it in Windows settings to try and remove a workplace profile or account. And it just kept saying, okay, click on the disconnect button. And I'm saying, look, I'm using the screen reader. I cannot find a disconnect button. Is it actually on the screen? No, it's not. Okay, so what do I do?
Yeah,
go to the disconnect button. Yeah, but you just told me there isn't one there. I know, but go to the disconnect button. So it's like, okay, forget it. So again, yes, it's got a pair of eyes now. It can see your screen. Doesn't always means it's looking at it properly, though, or telling you what it can see.
To be fair to, I'll give it a little bit of credit here.
No.
Well, how do we know what's on?
AI.
How do we know it's on the screen in front of it? It could be pointing at something totally different. You know what it's like? I mean, how many times...
Are you saying Copilot's looking the wrong way?
No, I'm saying we might be putting blockers up in front of it. The amount of times I've found out that there's been windows sitting on my screen.
Minimized.
Well, no, but sometimes pop-ups, like, come out. I remember there was a drop box thing that used to sit on my screen for like days on end, because I didn't know
in Word,
it was even there. I remember the Mac had this problem. I think the PC might have had it as well, where you just couldn't get to that window. You couldn't get to that box to shut it down. And so therefore, it would just live there. And so it could just sit in front of... I mean, I've been on websites before where people have said to me, how are you able to navigate this website? Because you've got a big cookie banner in front of it. It's all blocked. But the screen reader can read what's behind it.
Yeah, I use the Force, baby. I don't need eyes
That's
to look at
right.
what you're
We don't
talking about.
care.
It's so funny you say that, because I used to get the kids, so if I was stuck on something, have a look at this for me. Well, you got 1,000 windows open. They're all minimized to the size of a postage stamp, and they're all on top of each other. So, no. I am in the habit now. I maximize every window I go to. That's almost muscle memory.
That was actually something when I got Lisi. That was one thing I really liked, because that's a feature of it. You can actually have it where it will automatically maximize any window that you open up. There's a few things I really like Lisi for, like that. Things like that are just great. How it just kind of takes control of it and does it. The problem, of course, as I found, is the computer not being very responsive. You sometimes get completely lost in a window because you think, hang on a minute, I was in a window a second ago and it's now gone. But what's happened is the screen's actually maximized during use. So, suddenly you're kind of one part of the screen's just, the screen reader is completely lost focus. But it is interesting. I am starting to use these AI functions for a lot more now. And, it was interesting the other day, I was writing an email, I think I mentioned this, but I was doing an email to someone, and I'm not great at typing out what I want. I'm really bad at writing out prompts. Mm-hmm. And I thought, and it was a friend of mine had said to me, why don't you just talk to it? And I'm like, yeah, but no, I'm trying to write an email. And he's like, yeah, just talk to it. It'll draft the email for you. It'll do it all. And sure enough, I was just chatting with it, saying, okay, here's what I'd like to do. And I was able to say perfectly what I wanted it to do. Here's exactly what I want this email to say. And then it read out the draft, which I was very happy with. I stopped the conversation and copied the text and put it in. I will say this, though.
Yeah.
Little word of advice for people. Always check the text when you're pasting it in if you've copied it from ChatGPT or wherever else.
Oh, yeah, of course. Let me know if there's anything else I can help you with. It's always tagged at the bottom.
Always at the bottom. Or sure, here's the draft email as you requested. So I've had a lot of emails recently where that's been the top line of the email. And it's kind of funny. I laugh, but I think, just be aware of that, because I don't care getting a response like that. But someone, if you're applying for a job or you're sending an email that's a professional thing, you've got to check these things out, because,
so funny.
You got to be careful with that.
I think you're right, though. It is important that people know, even if you have, because I only have the live conversation with AI. I hate typing to it.
Yeah, me too.
So I always speak to it. Now, it is different. It's not quite as advanced as if you did type to it, because you can have that, think deeper option on all of them.
Yeah, it doesn't have the same brain,
it's
does it?
not quite as clever, no, when you do it. Well, you think it's responding so quickly. We're having a real-time conversation. It's absolutely mind-blowing that it's actually able to do that in the first place.
Yeah.
But there is a limitation to that. But secondly, that conversation, when you stop talking to whichever AI, will be in the list. So you can go back and you can, as you said, copy that response or whatever of that conversation. So it is still there.
Apple's got a long way to go here, haven't they?
Yeah. I was trying to think of a nice thing to say, but yeah, they just have. And they've got to do something pretty soon, I think.
I mean, look, if the rumors are true, as we were talking about yesterday, if the rumors are true that Gemini is going to be the backbone of Siri, and
I still can't believe that.
I also highly recommend you change the name. If it's a complete rewrite, change the name, because if you keep calling it Siri, and if it performs, I mean, okay, Gemini wasn't perfect when it came out, but it wasn't barred. And even though it was better, it wasn't perfect, but it was better, we kind of gave it a chance because it felt new. I think it's all subconscious. I think if we know if we just are told it's the new Siri, and it still performs in any way as badly as the existing one does. And I mean, the thing is, again, it's not even about the AI. I mean, it's not even about the stuff that ChatGPT can do. I mean, it's not even that. It's just the basic stuff, opening an app, calling someone, the basic stuff that you would think they would be excelling at. They've got access to all the information on the brain of the phone. It doesn't have to go very far to find it, and it still can't work out the difference between Shaun Mobile and Shaun lives in Mobile, Alabama.
Yes.
And it's
which
like,
I do.
Come on. Yeah, where is that shed? We've never seen outside it, have we?
It's mobile.
It's mobile. That's currently in Alabama. The winds have been pretty strong across the UK recently, so that might be true.
Yeah, they need to do something. That's an interesting point of view that maybe, it's been tarnished to that much that it needs a rebrand, a rebadge.
We always criticize Google for changing everything, right? We'll say, oh, come on, here we go again. Google's changing it. It was Duo, then it was Hangouts, then it was Meet. But there's reasons why they do that. There's reasons why, and it gives them the opportunity to develop new tools and give us a fresh approach to it.
So what name would you use? I'm thinking of Steve. That'd be cool. As a tribute to Mr. Jobs, obviously.
What would you call it? That's a good, I mean, because Siri was the name of, was it not the name of the product that they bought in?
It was.
So it wasn't like Apple created Siri. So I don't know what you would call it.
If you called it Steve, it would just say, you're holding it wrong.
Do you know what I do? Call it, mix the two up, right? Mix Siri and Gemini. Call it Jerry.
What?
Well, it's the closest I can think of a name between Gemini, and Siri.
Yeah. Okay.
Jerry. That's not bad for, off the top of my head thinking, right? You could call it Jerry.
Yeah, we'll get AI to think of a name. It's fine. It can name itself.
Well, as long as it's the new one that does it and not the old one, because the old one won't have a clue how to name itself. It'll just be constantly asking itself, which name would you like me to choose? And then pick the wrong one.
I can't talk about this anymore because Microsoft AI, beginning with C, is talking in my ear every time I say its name because I've got that feature turned on.
Is that by default, or is that something you have to... Can you turn that on?
You turn that on. It's not on by default. Now, this is another thing. Depending on the version, always go, right? Uninstall any version of Copilot you find in your programs, in your settings. Go to the Microsoft Store and download Copilot from there. Because it seems like there's 1,000 different versions. 365 you can't talk to.
Yeah.
The other one that came on Sarah's laptop was completely different to the one I downloaded. I have no idea what that was. But it had different features in it. And if you get the one from the Microsoft Store, it has the ability to say, hey, COP, that one. And it will activate in talk mode. It's great. I got to say, it's actually really nice, except for now when I'm talking about it.
So when you say that, it's actually jumping straight into talk mode. So I don't have to go and... Because I'm always doing that thing where I open up the window and then I've got to tab to get to talk button.
I also set up someone else's the other day, and I had the option to press Windows C that would open that app.
Yeah.
Microsoft AI.
Well, that was the original command for it.
Yeah, which is fine. But also there was an option that if I hold it down for more than 1 second, it would jump into live chat.
Oh.
So it would, again, bring up straight into the microphone mode. But I don't see that on mine. So very strange, very strange. But yeah, nice.
Legacy from Microsoft. It's a thing. Listen, I was hoping to get some emails today, but sorry, we're kind of yapped our way through the show. Sorry about that. We could have ran ourselves out of time, but that was very interesting. At least I thought it was.
Well, it was for us. I'm so sorry, listeners.
We are going to be hearing from Glenn Gordon from Vespero very soon on the show, so stick around for that. Also, we'll get back into your emails as well. Some great conversations coming up as well while we're on our travels. You're going to be hearing all about a company in the UK selling fancy canes that we thought were made of jewellery, but turned out not to be the case. And big, massive bags.
Oh, no.
Oh,
You'll be buying one.
Absolutely. Catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.